Big Rab Show Podcast is kindly sponsored by G1 Reeds. They are the champion's choice, with many bands around the world playing G1 products, providing everything you'd need to hit the circle or the big stage. So, check out g1reeds.com as they keep the lights on here at the Big Rab Show Podcast. Hello there, everyone, and welcome to another Big Rab Show Podcast. Well, what a weekend that was, and we need to talk all about it. We had competition in Dollar and Enniskillen and across in the United States, and yeah, we're going to get into all of it in this week's show. Plus, of course, we've got quite an amazing topic of the week to bring you, of course. But yeah, the title of this week's episode does kind of give it away as to what we're about to get into, but yeah, stick around and find out more about that later on in the show. Well, let's get through our introductions then, first of all, shall we? If this is your first ever Big Rab Show podcast, then you are welcome. This is the show for the bagpiping folk. We reflect everything in the bagpiping world, be it Celtic music, folk music, or indeed our bread and butter, which is competitive piping and drumming. Each and every week we're here talking about what we know and love to be the music of the great Highland bagpipe and its people. And, yep, shameless plug at this point, like every other podcast out there, yeah, we do have a Patreon. So, if you would like to, you don't have to, it's not compulsory, but yeah, you can head over to Patreon, click on support, and get your mitts on loads of extras, including our weekly Fuse FM Ballymoney radio show. And, yeah, last night's show on Fuse was a lot of fun. Yeah, we played a lot of the performances, actually, from the County Fermanagh Championships, and, yeah, received quite a lot of praise for that. Plus, of course, we played that brand new medley from Scottish Power. Oh! Yeah, and we talked about the whole two bass drum thing. Yep, we'll get into that in news and updates, of course. Spoiler. But, yeah, we played a lot of brand new music from our Grade 1 big guns, of course, from Dollar and from Enniskillen. Just, yeah, last night's show on Fuse was a lot of fun. So if you are anyway curious and you did happen to miss it, then you can go over there to Patreon and actually listen to it again. Yeah, just click support and you can download every episode of our radio show the day after it happens. There you are. All right, so that's plug the Patreon out of the way. Well, yeah, every episode of the Big Rab Show podcast does start with listener mail, and this week is no different. bigrabshow@gmail.com, that address again, bigrabshow@gmail.com. And yes, a lot of the email that we received was commentary on this past weekend. And a lot of people were talking about that brand new medley that was unveiled by Scottish Power. So I think at this point, we'll not get into it in the news and updates, we'll get into it now, because there seemed to be a lot of you who emailed us about it, asking us for our thoughts. Yes, this video went absolutely viral. It went everywhere. Yeah, Scottish Power unveiled their brand new medley on their socials over the course of this past week. And yeah, they have two bass drums playing. That's an interesting dynamic, that, isn't it? Yeah, so a lot of people have their own thoughts on it. Some people absolutely loving it and saying that this is going to be a world-beating medley performance and set the bar ridiculously high for every other band. However, you do get the counter side of that, where you have people that are maybe not a great fan of pushing that envelope, and a lot of people who may well be more set in their traditional ways and may not be fans of it. So, yeah, by way of a summary, for all the listener mail we received on Scottish Power's brand new medley, it seems to be pretty much a 50-50, to be fair. If you haven't heard the medley from Scottish Power, I'm going to play a little clip of it here, but if you do want to go and check out the full thing, go and have a look at Scottish Power on their social media, where the full medley performance is uploaded in its entirety, and you can go and be your own armchair judge. But let's get a little listen to the introduction first of all, shall we? Yes, right. We're going to wrap it up there. As I said earlier, if you do want to go and listen to the rest of that, the full medley selection is available now on Scottish Power's social media. So do go and have a watch at it. It pretty much is the talk of the town. Yeah, which seems to be the case now. A lot of Grade 1 big guns unveil their new medley to the world. And yeah, it seems to create so much buzz. Yeah, like whenever we were releasing the videos for the St. Lawrence O'Toole concert, The Lark in the Evening, and they unveiled their new medley selection at that show, well, that just went absolutely nuts as well. Of course, we all remember when Inverarian District released what, well, I've kind of christened it the Dream Valley medley as they played it in Frankfurt and Germany. And yeah, I don't know, these moments, you know, at this point in the season are huge for piping fans and are definitely a source for debate. So, yeah, we would love to know your thoughts on it, of course. We haven't yet seen these new medleys, as we're talking about. We haven't seen them in front of people with clipboards, and that is where the proof in the pudding is going to be. A lot of these new medleys absolutely push boundaries, and we're going to be very curious to see where they fall down or where they stand up with those with the clipboard. It's going to be an interesting one, isn't it? Yeah, now, we're not going to talk any more about any of the news and updates and stuff, but I just wanted to get that out there. That's what a lot of our listener mail has been about this week, Scottish Power's new medley. But also, we got a wealth of commentary for people who are subscribed to us on YouTube and have just been emailing us and thanking us for the videos. They're saying they're really enjoying the content over there on YouTube. So, thank you, everyone. Yes, we do work pretty hard on our YouTube channel, and it's great to know that it's well received. If you haven't already checked us out on YouTube, then please do. Yeah, a lot of the performances from Inniskillen this past weekend at the County Fermanagh Championships and Dollar Academy, we managed to get a few of those up there as well. So, yeah, go and check them out. The Big Rab Show on YouTube. Shameless plug. Right, the rest of our listener mail has been setting up for future episodes of Meet the Band. Yes, we are still frantically working behind the scenes on those and recording quite a number of them. I've got a good number on the shelf right now, quite a few bands now, and I'm really looking forward to bringing these to future shows. Yeah, there's some bands, some stories that I absolutely was not aware of, and these are going to be really fascinating. I think for piping fans and for non-piping fans alike, this is going to be a very interesting new segment on the show. And, you know, I'm even thinking it's not a segment on the show anymore. I think some of these stories really need their time to shine. And I'm thinking about making them full topics of the week. You know, spending each episode dedicated to a band. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? Yeah, and honestly, some of the stories I've heard this past week with some of the bands we've discussed here in our recordings have been truly fascinating, you know, and yeah, half of the history of these bands that you see day on daily and every week and every month, you just don't really get an appreciation for a history that is there behind that band. And as we've said, every band has a story. So yeah, we're fascinated to learn more about these, and yeah, I don't know. We're thinking of bringing them as full topics of the week rather than a segment here in the show. Anyway, I digress. But that's been the bulk of our listener mail for now. A lot of the admin behind the scenes. Yes, and also, I'm just going to briefly mention this, but a few of you, not a lot of you, but a few of you have been savvy enough to notice something that, yeah, was unwittingly put out there in the public eye. pipinglive.co.uk. That's all I'm going to say. But a number of you have noticed it, all right? And you've been emailing us your questions. We're not in a position to answer these questions just yet. But yeah, if you are anyway curious, you super sleuths out there may well be able to do a little bit of digging of your own, and you might be able to find what I'm talking about. And that's all I'm going to say. Not going to say anymore. But yeah, kudos to you guys out there who did manage to find it. Well done. You are detectives in your own right. Full credit to you. But yes, we will answer all questions on this mystery item in the near future, where we will hopefully be getting into the detail of all of that. But not now. Let's move on. Well, as we close the door on listener mail, just to remind you, if you do want to send us in your own listener mail, of course you can do. bigrabshow@gmail.com. That address again, bigrabshow@gmail.com. bigrabshow.com. Send us in a note. Let us know that you're listening. And, yeah, any commentary, questions, or anything like that about the show, yeah, we'd love to hear from you. All right. Now, JD last week on the pod got a week off. Yes, there was no weekly drones last week, so JD got to put the heels up. Or did he? Yeah, JD has been insanely busy since last week's pod, and I think we have quite a few weekly drones on the shelf. So, JD, let's have this week's first weekly drone then, mate.
It's the weekly drone.
Stuff that Rab got wrong. Just because I think you're going to be saying their names a few more times over the competition season, Youghal is pronounced y'all. Carrigaline is pronounced Carrigaline. Carrigaline? Carrigaline. I'm going to go with Carrigaline.
Do you know something, JD? I am very happy to know that I am not the only person that would struggle with the pronunciation of pipe band names sometimes, even when they are spelled out phonetically like that. Do you know, I had to go and look at the submission on the website to see how it was put across to JD, and yeah, even with the phonetic spelling, it was still difficult. The first one, yes, I did pronounce that band as Youghal, and that was completely wrong, and that's on me. Stuff that Rab got wrong. Absolutely. Thank you, Weekly Droner. But so I will now be pronouncing their name as y'all, and I'll be doing that from here on. Thank you. But yes, that next band name, Carrigaline, I think it's Carrigaline. Yeah. But anyway, that could be stuff that Rab got wrong, and the members of that band can send in all their angry emails. Apologies. I find this difficult sometimes, you know? So, do you know what? I'm going to do my best to pronounce band names correctly where possible, but please be understanding when I do get it wrong. Honestly, I am not doing it intentionally. I'm not doing it on purpose, and I've explained this before. I will hold my hands up when I get things wrong, and I do that quite frequently here on the show. We have a segment here, Stuff That Rab Got Wrong. So, quite happy to be told when we're wrong, and so we can make corrections and learn. Yeah, so Carrigaline, I think that's where we're going to go with. I'll agree with JD on that one. All right, JD, let's get out of the world of mispronunciation. I believe we have another weekly drone on the shelf, have we?
It's the weekly drone.
Just shut up. Rab and team, I was at the County Fermanagh Championships over the weekend, and I have to bring this up on the pod. For the love of all that's holy, can you please tell everyone who listens to your show to kindly shut up when watching bands in full flow? It is so disrespectful to hear people talking and shouting over performances, only to suddenly stop jabbering once the band is finished. Why? I know you have spoken about this on previous shows, and that this is one of your pet peeves also. I noticed it happening a lot this past weekend, and sorry to say, but it is all over your recordings from this past weekend too. I don't know who was standing next to or behind you, but all you could hear was them blethering on. How did you put up with it? So please, Rab and team, put the word out. When a band is competing in the circle, and you're standing there watching them, please kindly shut up until the band has finished playing. So much work goes into what these bands do. Have some respect and listen. Your conversation about Wee Jimmy's new car or Samantha's new job can wait till the end of the set. Rant over. Thank you guys for all that you do, despite these idiots talking loudly at the arenas.
Oh, Weekly Droner. Yes, thank you for sending that in. Honestly, you are speaking my thoughts. I don't know what it was this past weekend at the opening of the season, but everyone at that arena just seemed to want to have a conversation as the band were playing. And yes, if you go back and watch our videos from the arena at the County Fermanagh Championships, every one of those performances has someone talking on it. and it is so frustrating. At one point, when I was standing there in the lashing rain, granted, but as I was standing there with the camera rolling and the band was playing, they were breaking into the Straspe, they were having a real good run, the guy standing right next to me started asking me questions about the pipe major. And you can hear it on the video. Now, I'm not going to tell you the band, so because then people will go and check out the video to see if they could hear this guy. But I had to politely tell him, I'm recording right now. I'll answer your questions after the performance. Now, to which this fella, I'm not going to name him, but he must have thought that I was being dead cheeky because he kind of, and walked off. What? So, I don't know who that person was. He came back again. Yeah, he ended up coming back to his spot again and watching the rest of grade 2 that day and grade 1. But he swaned off for a good hour or so. I think I must have really annoyed him. So I did check with him. I said, look, I'm sorry, I didn't really mean to annoy you, but the band were playing and, I wanted to hear the band. And I said, oh, that's all right. Right. So, yeah, Weekly Droner, I'm absolutely there with you. The level of conversation that was around that arena was insane. And I do absolutely agree with you that this is one of my pet peeves. And I do think it is completely disrespectful. Yeah. Our pipe bands that we are huge fans of and we love their music, they've worked so hard for this. This has been months and months of preparation, 2 nights a week, hard work at home, all of that maintenance, learning, practice, development. There's so much that goes on. And whenever they hit that circle, you start talking about, well, I think the Weekly Droner mentioned there, Jimmy's new car. Yeah. I think the conversation that was beside me is, I can't even remember now, but it just seemed to go on forever. They were talking about who was married to this person, to that person, and then that person had a dog, and they keep dogs. And right, I don't care. I am listening to an MSR right now. I don't want to know about who keeps dogs and whether they're nice or not. If you are going to have a conversation, please do the conversation bit in between the performances, right? That's when the level of the crowd should come up and everyone should start talking, all right? But, in my experience, Weekly Droner, I completely agree that everyone seemed to talk and over the band. They raised their voice so they could be heard. And as soon as the band stopped playing, then it fell deathly silent. Nobody talked then. It was weird. Anyway, so I know you've started me. I'm on my soapbox now. And this, I don't know what we used to call this Rab's rant. But yeah, completely agree, Weekly Droner. This past weekend in Enniskillen was really bad for conversation at the arena. Not just on my side where I was filming, but across the arena as well. I've noticed it everywhere. And people were even shouting across at each other as the band was playing. I'm not naming names, all right? I'm not pointing fingers, but I did see it happen. Someone was shouting across asking, how you doing? I haven't seen you in a long time. How you been? How you keeping me? All right, shush. All right, bands just hit their introduction, E, and you're saying, hello over there. What about you? I haven't seen you in ages. Are you well? Keep that till the band's finished, all right? When they hit the cutoff, then you can go and talk to whoever it is over the park. You haven't seen them forever. All right, there you go. I feel better now I've got that off my chest. Thank you, Weekly Droner, but I'm glad I'm not the only one's noticed it. Now, do you think there's something that the branch could do about that? I highly doubt it, to be honest. I can't see to be able to do anything enforceable, you know? I don't know. Like, you watch the golf, for example, and they're able to keep massive crowds quiet at that. You know, like the US Masters, where there's thousands of people watching someone tee off, and you can hear a pin drop. And then even the likes of the snooker as well. You know, the World Championship happened not too long ago. And again, you could hear a pin drop. And it's a standout moment if someone coughs or sneezes. Like, it really sticks out. So how can you keep a large crowd like that in an open space quiet? I don't know. But for me, it's a level of respect to the band's folk. I completely agree, Weekly Droner. Thank you for that. I'm sure I'm going to get more Weekly Drones on that. Anyway. All right, JD, let's move on away from my pet peeve. Let's move on. Have we got another Weekly Drone, mate?
It's the Weekly Drone.
Enniskillen Drum Majors. After returning from the first competition of the year, I wanted to congratulate those who organized a great day. I was particularly impressed with how the man handling the drum majors conducted proceedings. I have watched drum majors for many years, and it's always a spectacle to behold. But really, I think the man who was in charge of them yesterday did such an excellent job. He kept all the competitors and their parents right with what was happening, lined the competitors up, and marched them onto the field properly. Announcing to the spectators which drum majors were next and at what time was very helpful to everyone watching, and he didn't even have a mic. And he seemed to be doing everything at once. But I must add, it was all without any issue. He also seemed to be bringing the bands from one end to the other. I don't know how he managed to be everywhere at once. I don't think he stopped all day. I was close enough at one point to hear him taking time to talk with the youngsters before they marched on, and he was explaining what they were to do and reassured them that he was there to support them. That's really brilliant to see. My wife also heard him mention to them as he was leaving the field, "Good luck and enjoy it." She said that was a nice touch and seemed to make them all smile even though they were nervous. The day was a great success. Well done to the RSPBA Northern Ireland.
There you are, some well-deserved praise at the Drum Major Arena. Now, I wasn't over there at the Drum Major ring, so I have no idea who that person was, but hey, full credit to them. I hope they're listening to the show right now. I do know a good number of the stewards and officials from the Northern Ireland branch do actually listen to the show, so hey, full credit when it's deserved, you know, when a job gets done well and gets done right like that. You know, being encouraging to young competitors and keeping the thing moving as, you know, strict as clockwork, which is brilliant, and being helpful to the competitors, the bands, and just making sure everything works. Brilliant. I love to hear reports like this, and hey, full credit to them, whoever that person may be. I have no clue who that was, because I was pretty much stuck at the competing arena all day. So I was at the bands. I didn't once get across to see the drum majors, unfortunately. So yeah, full credit to whoever that is. You know, weekly drone can be used for this. I want to say that. You know, sometimes whenever we, you know, give out the title weekly drone, it comes across as it has to be a moan and a drone and a complaining session, but not always. Yeah, if something positive is happening in the scene and you feel it deserves recognition, then absolutely, let us know your thoughts, and that's what Weekly Drone is for, you know? Not just always for the negative. Sometimes it can have a positive connotation. So yes, we will pass your comments on to the Northern Ireland branch and let them know that this is, quite a positive thing that we received here on the show. And yeah, I'm sure they always like to hear that feedback as well. So there you are. Thank you for sharing that with us. Yeah. So if you do want to share your own weekly drone, of course, you can go to our website, thebigrabshow.com. That big red button at the top of the page saying weekly drone. You can't miss it. And you can let us know your stories, warts and all. So you've just heard him on Weekly Drone, but it's time to grill him and ask him some questions. JD, how are you, man?
I am a little sunburnt. We had the Greenville Scottish Games yesterday as of this recording, but other than that, I'm doing pretty well.
Sunburned. And then me, after County Fermanagh and Enniskillen, I got soaked. So I don't know what that is. I got soggy. I don't know. Either way. But it was good competition then, yeah?
Yeah, very good showing from all the bands that were there. The Grade 3 band is very competitive and are part of the EUSPBA, and as well as Grade 4 and Grade 5. And I even took the field on bass drum as an extra backup in Grade 5, and we placed. So that was fun.
Do you know, they say that pipers make the best bass drummers. You know, and do you remember those episodes that we done like years ago when we were focusing on bass drumming? Did you ever remember listening to those?
I do, yeah. I might be biased. I personally like playing with a bass drummer who's more familiar with the pipe music than just the snare music.
There we go. We're going to start a war with that one, JD. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll get some more weekly drones on that. Yeah. Well, if anything, let's talk about weekly drone. We've got some questions. Some people are saying, you know, do you get annoyed reading out some of the weekly drones because some of them could be quite lengthy?
Honestly, The biggest trouble I have is trying to read people's spelling or jargon, especially if somebody types like they speak, but they're, have a very thick Northern Irish accent, and they're writing how they talk. And then, of course, I have an American accent, so me trying to say Bauchi in a way that doesn't that makes sense or whatever, things like that. That's one thing that always catches me.
It's good value too. And then just today, we heard the one where the pronunciation, I can't even say that. The pronunciation of band names is always a challenge, for myself.
Oh, yeah.
But do you find that tricky too?
At times. Sometimes I'll have to Google and do a double check before I put it in. And sometimes I just single take, and what happens, happens.
And just wing it. Yeah, that's it. I hope for the best, and hey, it's stuff that Rab got wrong, or it could be stuff that JD got wrong. Yeah. So, right, I need to ask you, JD, you guys have been working on something really quite special this last while, where you were dressing up in all sorts of weird and wonderful costumes. Tell us about this TV show that you guys were involved with.
Yeah, that was actually really funny how it came about, because HBO, it's maybe 5 years ago, bought an old department store that was sitting vacant and turned it into a sound studio and started doing some filming projects in the area. And so I was aware of the show for years, and I'd watched most of it. And, I always love watching stuff that's filmed locally and be like, oh, I see, that's where I got my car washed the other day or something in the background of the TV show. But they reached out to the band and asked for drummers, just drummers. Right. And I assume they were Googling, drum band, Charleston, something like that, and found Charleston pipe and drum band. And they wanted 10 male drummers who were good enough to do, sound studio recordings and stuff like that. And we're a decent-sized band. We do not have 10 male drummers who are of sound studio quality and available to take a day off of work. And so we kind of responded and said, hey, we're mostly a bagpipe band. How about some bagpipes? And they said, I guess we could have bagpipes. But it was that was very funny to have bagpipes be an afterthought.
Yeah. Normally it's at the forefront, though. Yeah. So
right.
What is the show? What's it called?
So the show is called Righteous Gemstones. It's about a family of televangelist, evangelical type preachers that are very corrupt and very not very good people, and it kind of makes light of the that kind of hypocrisy movement of the ultra rich pastors and stuff like that. There's a fair amount of the show that's a bit sacrilegious, but some of it I think is maybe on point at times as well. So.
Okay, well, you can draw your own conclusions with that.
Yeah.
But there's some big stars in that. There's John Goodman, one of the names that jumps out at me, So any other big names?
If you're into kind of niche comedy, you might recognize Danny McBride. He's the main producer, I think, and the kind of vision behind the show. And then some of the other people, Danny McBride's younger brother character, what was his name? Adam Devine. He was in Pitch Perfect, which was really popular among people my age.
There you go.
But yeah, John Goodman was in the scene with us and was super nice. We got a chance to chat with him a little bit.
Oh, you got to
really
meet him? Oh, what was he like?
He was, just almost really what you'd expect from seeing his characters if you watched Roseanne back in the day, or when he was Fred Flintstone back in the 90s. He kind of just an affable, older guy, and made a couple witty cracks about the cars that we were looking at and stuff. So
there you go. Oh, that's cool. I love to hear stories like that. So how did bagpipes fare into this? So just an accidental mention, and then suddenly
the music director was like, oh yeah, I guess we could do some pipes. Let me get back to you. Then he sent me some music. He said, here's what we're thinking for the bagpipes. And it was, I think he had probably Googled bagpipes, found something about Uilleann piping, wrote music for Uilleann pipes with a MIDI file that was very clearly based on Uilleann pipes and regulators and everything, and said, can you do this? And we said, nope. Cannot. So I actually worked with him about
what the ranging capabilities are of the Highland pipes, and we kind of collaborated to realize his vision for this kind of cinematic piece that still worked on the Highland pipes. And then, we had a full day in the studio recording it with about a half dozen pipes and most of our drum corps.
Right,
And
wow. That would have been an interesting experience, being in a recording studio with a set of pipes. Difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a long day. The way they did it was interesting. Because the score was still very snare centric, we did a take where it was all the snares. I actually stood in on snare for that one as well, so I'm on the track like 3 times.
Wow.
All the snares played along with a track that they piped into our headset, and then they took the recording of the snares and piped it into the headset for the pipers. So the pipers then played along with the recording of the snares. So we didn't play together live. And
so like almost playing to a backing track nearly in your ear as you were going. Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and so we did take of the harmonies, take of the melody. We did a take of it combined. We did a take with just drones, so they could get all the balance and everything that they wanted. We did a couple. They wanted bad cutoffs.
Oh, really? They wanted that?
Yeah, that was something they specifically asked for. I think the way the scene played, they were thinking one of us might be, not to spoil it, but because it was a duel, the tune is called The Duel. They thought one of us might, have a mishap or something and
be shocked or something.
Right.
Oh my goodness. Yeah,
so,
I get you.
that was a full day in the studio, and then the actual filming day was a whole second day.
So did you guys then have to mime it all? Once you get all your costumes on, instruments on, you just kind of had to bluff it? Or
Yeah, we tried. So they wanted the script to line up with certain points in the music. So we tried to do it live once, and the actors, being mostly comedians, were ad-libbing a lot, and the timing was totally off. And so we said, this is not going to work for us to just jump forwards or have to repeat 10 seconds or whatever. Yeah. So the pipers corked everything up after that. The drummers tapped very lightly on the rims. If you look in the background, you might be able to see that we're just barely hitting the drum heads. But yeah, made no more sound for the rest of the day. We just pretended.
There you go. As they call them in the drumming world, butterfly beats. I've been told about those. So yeah, so you guys on camera and all of that get-up and that's bound to have been a lot of fun, though. Yeah.
It was a ton.
Have you seen the finished article then? Have you seen the scene and everything now completed?
Yep. Yeah, we watched it. It debuted at 10 p.m. here, and with a 1-year-old at home, that's past my bedtime now. So I watched it a couple days after it debuted, and I originally just watched my one scene. It's the first 4 minutes of the final episode. So that was, and then I went back and watched the whole season just to see why we were having a duel in the first place, because I didn't see the rest of the script.
No, here. Well, no spoilers, JD. I haven't seen it myself, but I'm definitely going to check it out now because, well, come on, you guys are in it, so I'm going to have to watch it now. Yeah, sure. But what an experience, though. And, well, the piece of music itself, then, isn't that like an original composition then made just for this?
That's right. The music director at HBO, as I mentioned, he wrote something originally for Alien Pipes, and then we massaged it down for Highland Pipes, but I still have the sheet music, so if you want it, I have permission to perform it from HBO.
Oh, so, brilliant. There we go.
Happy to share.
Well, JD, thanks a million for telling us that story. It's fascinating, and I'm definitely going to have to check out that show now. Yeah. Is it for having it or not?
we play it to watch now at the moment. Yeah.
I will say a little bit of viewer discretion is advised. It's more of a chanter rant style show than a Big Rab style show, if I have to say.
It may not be family friendly. All right.
We'll certainly don't watch it with your granny.
No. Okay. Well, JD, thanks very much for chatting to us, and best wishes to everybody here at the band. You've got some more dates coming up then, haven't you, in the near future?
Yeah, we've got a fairly busy calendar over the summer doing parades and stuff. Most of our contest season is now past because it gets too hot. But we'll have a fall contest season right after the Worlds. We'll be back into contest gear.
There you go.
And so a couple more.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure no doubt folk here in the UK and around the world will be keeping you busy with weekly drones and such.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So keep up the good work, mate. Thanks a million. Take care, JD. All the best.
Cheers. Thanks.
There you go. So shout out to JD. Thanks a million for joining us on the show this week, mate. Right. Well, you guessed it. I think I've already covered a lot of ground already. And that's just our introduction to the show. Yeah, I'm about to take a little small break and I'll be right back with all of the news and updates, of course. So, yeah, stick with us. We'll be right back. Do you wish piping could be fun again? Bagpipers around the world continue to struggle with their instrument, despite hours of hard work trying to get better. Bagpiping should be fulfilling. Your hard work should pay off, showing improvement and the freedom to express yourself musically. Or why do it? The Dojo University believe every piper should be able to free themselves from musical frustration, proven over more than a decade of successful teaching and accessible anywhere with an internet connection. The Dojo is unlike any other bagpipe learning experience in the world. Let the Dojo channel your enthusiasm into a fun and fulfilling program that will empower you with the knowledge to fall in love with piping all over again. So go to dojouniversity.com/Big Rab and take advantage of our 30-day free trial of Dojo Premium membership. Join the global community of students today and rediscover the fun of bagpiping. dojouniversity.com/Big Rab for a 30-day free trial. Ready to take your playing to the next level? Say hello to the ES Session Chanter, the ultimate practice chanter designed for versatility and durability. Crafted from stainless steel and aluminium, the chanter comes equipped for both an A stem and a B flat stem, giving you the freedom to play along with any instrument, anytime, anywhere. Whether at a band practice or a trad session, the ES Session Chanter keeps pace with your creativity. Included with the chanter is the custom carbon carry case, the perfect addition to this compact and tactile instrument. To get yours, head to essessionchanter.co.uk. Alright, let's get into the news and updates. Now, I am going to keep them brief for this week. There's plenty of piping news to be at, and all of it of a competitive variety. So, yeah, let's get into it. As you were hearing earlier, we were chatting with JD, who was just back from the Greenville Games. So let's go through the results of that, shall we? Starting with Grade 5, or Grade 4B as it's known here in the UK. Yeah, first place finisher in Grade 5 on the day and winner of Pipe Band of the day were the Grandfather Mountain Highlanders Harvey Rich Memorial Pipe Band. Whew, that's quite a band name, isn't it? The Grandfather Mountain Highlanders Harvey Rich Memorial Pipe Band. Yeah, you are. But Grade 5 champions, all the same, at Greenville. In second place were Nashville. Yes, well done to Nashville. And in third place, as we were chatting earlier, there was the Charleston Pipes and Drums. Well done. Moving on to Grade 4 then. First in MSR was the Loch Norman Pipes and Drums. Second was the Atlanta Pipe Band. And in third for the MSR was Queen City. Yes, moving on to Medley in Grade 4. Yes, first place and Pipe Band of the day in that grade was the City of Greenville Pipes and Drums. Yes, second place in the medley was Loch Norman, and third place was the Atlanta Pipes and Drums. There you are, so that's your medley selection in Grade 4. Moving on to Grade 3 on the day, first place in medley, and I believe in the MSR as well. Yeah, Waken District. Well done to Wake. And in second place in the medley selection was Atlanta, and third was Chattanooga. And then onto the MSR. Second was Chattanooga, and third was Atlanta. So they swapped positions there in the MSR. There you are. So we have seen some of the performances from the Greenville Games, and yeah, I have to give a special mention to the Atlanta Pipe Band, who really played a great medley selection there in Grade 4. Really enjoyed that. And also, of course, yeah, Waken District, who really did thump out a big tune in Grade 3. Very enjoyable stuff. And yeah, just well done to everyone there at the Greenville Games. Overall, just a very enjoyable championship. Right, now that's not the only competition that was, thumping out tunes over the weekend. Let's talk about Dollar. Yeah, thanks to the Dundee, Perth and Angus branch, this competition seen a lot of our Grade 1 big guns step out for the first time, and yeah, it was pretty exciting, to be honest. Let's get into the results, shall we? And we'll talk about Grade 1 and that in a minute or two. On to Novice B, the winner on the day was Dollar Academy. They were first place in Ensemble Preference. In second place then was Lochgilly High School Junior. Well done. And third was Burnt Island and District. There you are. And fourth place was the High School of Glasgow. That's your Novice B. On to Novice A then. The winners on the day were West Lothian Schools. Yes. Second was Lochgilly High. Third place was Dollar Academy. And fourth was George Heriot Schools. Yeah. Okay, so that's your novice grades. Moving on to Grade 4B then. Winners on the day were Uddingston Strathclyde. Yes, well done to Uddingston. And in second place was the City of Brechin. And third was Kilbarchan. Yeah. Grade 4A then. Winners on the day were Kirkcaldy and District. Second were the Vale of Atholl. And third were Denny and Dunipace. Yeah. Juvenile grade then. First was Dollar Academy. Second was George Heriot's. And third was West Lothian Schools. There you go. Then the action really seemed to start hotting up. Yeah, moving on to Grade 3. Yes, the winners on the day in Grade 3, Uddingston Strathclyde on Ensemble Preference. Well done. Second place were Burnt Island and District. Third were Johnstone. And fourth was Arbroath. Yeah. Quite a competitive grade there in Grade 3, you have to say. I did manage to catch a good number of the performances there. And yeah, shout out to Uddingston, and yeah, just thumped out a big tune. There was a lot of videos actually of Uddingston outside the circle as well, and really blowing a big sound. So if you haven't seen that, go along and check out Uddingston Strathclyde on their socials. Very enjoyable stuff. Yeah. All right, let's move on to Grade 2 on the day, where winners on the day were Dollar Academy. Yes, there you go. So they decided to play up, and they lifted the grade. Second place on the day was Denny and Dunipace. Third was the City of Edinburgh. And fourth was Colburn IOR. Yeah. So overall, the Grade 2 competition, again, ultra competitive, and some big tunes played in there. Again, if we've managed to spot any of those videos, we've shared them out far and wide. All right, moving on to Grade 1, which did see a good number of our bands actually playing up and challenging the Grade 1 big guns. Winner on the day, I'm sure you probably already know by now, winner on the day was Inverary and District. Yes, he stepped in there and just put on a clinic, I guess. In second place was People's Ford, Boghall and Bathgate, who done the exact same thing. They put on a show and a half. And in third spot then was Scottish Power. Now, this was them without the extra bass drum. Yeah, but this was an MSR competition, and yeah, we were being very eagle-eyed looking for the second bass drummer, but it appears that they're just guesting on that medley performance. So that's an interesting dynamic there. So they can swap that bass drum in and out. There you go. Shout out to Scottish Power in third. In fourth place then was Denny and Dunipace. Now, there was questions on the day as to what happened to Johnstone. Well, I believe, listening to stories from the park, is that they withdrew at the last moment. So, yeah, that was disappointing. But yes, we did get to see their Grade 3 band in action, however. Yeah. All right. I have to give a big shout out to Annabelle Charlton, who reached out to us here in the Big Rab Show to offer some help. Now, we put a post up on our social media the night before, just asking if anyone would be able to point a camera at a pipe band at the Dollar Academy competition. Yeah, we realised possibly at the last moment that our usual camera guy, who would be Stuart Campbell, he was competing with Uddingston Strathclyde, and as a result he would be busy with both their Grade 4 band, their Grade 3 band, and their Grade 3 band was actually playing twice that day as well. So he had 3 different performances to worry about. So he was already insanely busy at the Dollar Academy competition. So we put the call out and asked, can anyone please help us film any of the action from Dollar? And Annabelle came forward. She messaged us here on the Rab Show and says, hey, I'm going to be there. I can point a camera for you. So those videos that Annabelle managed to capture are up there now on the Big Rab Show YouTube channel and on our socials. So I just wanted to give her a mention this week. A huge shout out to Annabelle. Thank you for catching those performances. And yeah, it has been well received around the world. A lot of people who have been watching these videos internationally have been really enjoying them. So yeah, shout out to Annabelle. If anyone wants to say thank you, absolutely, email us in, bigrabshow@gmail.com. I thought that was very cool of her to volunteer her time like that. So yeah, fantastic. Thank you, Annabelle. So yeah, Dollar Academy, the competition itself, I know people don't like MSR competitions, all right? Because, people say that's just not as exciting as the medleys. But, yeah, I can take your point there. Sometimes the musical creativity that you can employ with an MSR performance just isn't on par with what some of our Grade 1 big guns can do with a medley. But I believe that there is a lot that we could take away from this Dollar competition. Whenever you watch the grade, there's a lot of real intricate stuff happening in there, especially from the drumming perspective. Yes, fans of Kerr McQuillan and his work with People's Ford, Boghall and Bathgib will have a lot to enjoy there. Yeah, so go back, have a watch at those performances if you haven't already, and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But yeah, Dollar Academy shaped up to be quite an interesting competition, and well done to everyone involved, especially to the Dundee, Perth and Angus branch, who put in a wealth of work at quite a fantastic venue. I've been hearing loads of great reports about how good a venue Dollar is. And the weather might not have been brilliant. I think it was kind of sunshine and showers all day. But I think when we're on the topic of weather, we need to talk about the start of the Northern Irish season, don't we? Yep, the County Fermanagh Championships did not disappoint. Every year, and every time we go to Fermanagh, it just seems to tip it down. And this year was the exact same. As soon as I arrived in Enniskillen that morning, everyone was frantically setting up gazebos because, everyone needed shelter. It was thumping it down all day long. There was little respites in between, though, so it wasn't all day. There was little moments whenever the sun kind of peeked out and go, here I am, hey, you can dry off for a little bit, and then woof, back came the rain again. It was awful at times. And yes, I did manage to stand in that rain for the duration of the entire thing. So yeah, all of the videos, all of it is up there now on our YouTube channel. Every band, every grade, even the drum majors, it's all up there now on the Big Rab Show YouTube channel. Go and check that out. It was just a brilliant competition all round. Great to see the season back again. The venue itself was really good. I think the only downside, for the venue is that, there was very little places to hide whenever it actually came down to it. Whenever the rain was thumping down, there was nowhere to hide. So, that's the only kind of criticism I would have for the venue. But, hey, there we go. Also, I did receive quite a bit of criticism for the fella in Enniskillen who was on the mic. Yeah, throughout the day he was making quite a few mistakes and errors by announcing the incorrect band, the incorrect pipe major, etc. So it was making a bit of, a few blunders throughout the day, I guess. And also during the results and all of that, there were some mistakes made as well. So, hey, I know sometimes we criticize the people who are on the microphone, but that is honestly quite a difficult job to do. A lot of facts and things and all to get correct, and can be quite high pressure, especially around the time of results. So, I have my full sympathy there for that person, whoever they are. But they were making copious amounts of errors throughout the day, so that has been noted. Yeah, thank you, everyone. Now, let's get into the results themselves. Oh, before we do, let's talk about the March Past. All right? Or the lack of a March Past. Yes, the first competition in the Northern Ireland calendar was not a March Past. It was a massed band, where everyone in the park formed up together and paraded on together in one massed band. And it was fantastic. I'm sure out there you were thinking, it was a disaster. No, this absolutely went swimmingly. I think it took all of 10 to 15 minutes to gather everybody together, get them information, and then 2 minutes. Not even. I think even the first part of Scotland the Brave, and that was it. Done. Everyone was in. Let's get the speeches and the prizes. Let's go home. And that was it. So, yeah, I think this was a fantastic way of bringing this competition to a close, especially during such inclement weather, yeah. So full credit to everyone there involved in the mass band in Fermanagh. It was brilliant to watch, quite a spectacle, but also meant that we got home a lot quicker as well. Yeah, full credit to you. All right, let's get into the results, shall we? All right, the County Fermanagh Championships, let's start with drum majors. First of all, starting with novice grade. Our winner on the day was Charlotte Adamson. Yes, well done, Charlotte. Second place was Molly McMahon from Altnavay. Third was Holly Gracie from Clochern District. And fourth place was Heidi Poots from Altnavay. There you are. Just to give a shout to Charlotte Adamson is drum major with the Major Sinclair Memorial. There you are. So that was your novice grade. Moving on to the junior drum majors then, Georgia Turkington from the Matt Boyd Memorial picked up the top spot there. Winner overall. Well done, Georgia. In second place was Willow Rose Elliott. Yes, doesn't have an affiliated band, so just marked as RSPBA-NI, but she finished in the runner-up spot. In third place was Molly Bell from the MacDonald Memorial Pipe Band, and in fourth place then was Maya Lily Fraser from William Kerr Memorial. There you go. Great stuff. All right, moving on to our juvenile grade then. In first place in M&D preference was Carries Graham from Down Academy Pipe Band. Go on, Carries. Good stuff. In second place then was Louise Smighton from Closkelt. In third place in M&D preference was Jamie Lee Wilson from Brady Ulster Scots. In fourth place, Ben Dixon from Drumlock. There you are, and that's your juvenile drum majors. Moving on to your adults then. Yep. In first place was Charlotte Ruddock from Battle Hill on M&D preference. In second place, also in M&D preference, was Catherine McKeown from Battle Hill. Yes, go on, Catherine. In third place then was Cara Gilmer from Police Scotland and Federation. And in fourth place in M&D preference was Jamie Couples from Ravara. And Jamie also was the senior drum major on the day as well. So yeah, shout out to Jamie. Also, Jamie put out an announcement on his own socials that he's going to be heading to the Royal Edinburgh Military Tattoo this year. So, hey, that's exciting. So, yeah, shout out to Jamie. It's going to be a big year for Jamie. So, yeah, I'm going to have to catch him on the grass and find out more about his appearance at the Edinburgh Tattoo. That's exciting. All right, let's move on. Let's get into the bands then, shall we? Good and proper. Starting with grade 4B. In first place were Brady Ulster Scots with ones right across the board. Yeah, they won the piping and the drumming and the ensemble. Yeah, just ones right across. Well done to Brady Ulster Scots. I did hear the performance. Honestly, they knocked it out of the park. It was a fantastic run. Well done to Brady. In second place was the MacDonald Memorial Pipe Band. Yeah, well done, MacDonald. In third place was Tully Lagan. Yeah! Go on, the Lagan. Yeah, I have to give them a cheer because they're my band. Now, just to answer some questions. Yes, the eagle-eyed among you who were wondering, Rab, were you competing with Tully Lagan at the weekend? To answer your question, no, I was not. No, I was standing at the sidelines and I was filming everything. Now, this is for good reason. I have been unable to attend band practice for this past few weeks, and as a result, yeah, I got dropped. Yay! But I am in the process of rectifying that, and I do hope that I'll be out playing in Cookstown. So just to answer all your questions, yes, Tully Lagan did finish in the prizes, and no, I wasn't competing at the weekend. Hope that answers your questions. In fourth place then was the Queen Elizabeth Pipe Band, who honestly had a really good run. So yeah, shout out to Queen Elizabeth. So that was your grade 4B. Quite a tight grade, if I'm honest. So yeah, the grade 4B is going to be interesting on this side of the Irish Sea. Continuing, yeah. On to grade 4A, we only had two bands in here. We had Thiepval Memorial and the Graham Memorial Cantibric, and that's the positions that they came in. Yeah, so the Thiepval Memorial lifted it overall with ones right across the board, including piping, drumming and ensemble. Well done to Thiepval. There you are. Moving on to grade 3B then, winners on the day were Surla and District. Yes, but two firsts in piping and a second in drumming, however. But yeah, finishing first overall. In second place was Drumlock Pipe Band, who lifted the drumming on the day, and the ensemble as well. So yeah, well done to Drumlock. In third place was Uppercross Gar, well done. And in fourth place was the Cleland Memorial. Now, I want to give a special mention to the Cleland Memorial, actually. Yes, I noticed they have a brand new pipe major at the helm, and as a result, the band have completely transformed themselves. They have a totally new sound and a new musical approach, and I was really impressed with what Cleland Memorial brought to the circle. So, yeah, just wanted to give them a shout on the show this week. Shout out to the Cleland. Brilliant to see them in there. All right. Moving on, Grade 3A, winners on the day were the Major Sinclair Memorial. Go on, the Sinclair! You! Yeah, they did so with also winning the drumming on the day as well. So well done to the Major Sinclair. In second place was McNeilstown. Yes, not bad. And in third place was Clough-Finn. Now, Clough-Finn had people talking. We'll chat about that in a second or two. But in fourth place was Kildogue. It was brilliant to see Kildogue back in that circle again. After a bit of an absence. But, yeah, some new personnel in the ranks and a brand new Kildogue. And it's great to see them in the prizes there, yeah. So, I mentioned Clough-Finn. People have been talking about Clough-Finn Pipe Band for a couple of reasons. Number one, this past weekend they won the piping. They had 2 firsts in piping and they done so quite convincingly. For anyone who's heard the performance, you can absolutely see why. Their pipe corps are just on fire at the minute. Now, that was one talking point. Everyone was talking about their piping. But the other talking point was also the medley that Clough-Finn Pipe Band played in that circle was 100% original material that has never been performed before. Yeah, so if you haven't checked that out yet, go and have a watch at it. And yeah, you'll not hear any traditional tunes in there. You'll not hear any old favourites. So it's very unique and really, really interesting. And yeah, the pipers are playing out of their skin enough to win the piping at that. So go and check out that performance by Clough-Finn and their all original medley performance. It's very interesting music. So yeah, we're going to have to hear that again, I'm sure, on a future Fuse FM show because it was requested last night. And yeah, we will get playing that more on the air, I'm sure. Great medley. All right, moving on to Grade 2, then winners on the day were St. Joseph's Clondalkin. Yes, who made the trip up, and they were the only Grade 2 band in the grade that day. And yeah, with a bunch of others playing up. In second place was McNeilstown, who played up. We also had the Major Sinclair, who played up as well, and they finished in third. And in fourth place were Clough-Finn, just as I had mentioned there. Yeah, so St. Joseph's Clondalkin on the day did not disappoint, thumped out a massive set and was just brilliant, and they cleaned up. They had firsts in pipe and drumming ensemble, the whole shebang. It was just brilliant to see St. Joseph's, great to see, and hopefully this will not be the last we see them, yeah. As I believe the next competition we're due to see them is going to be in Moira. Now that could be stuff that Rab got wrong, but I do believe they are entered for that, so hey, we'll have to wait and see on that front. Let's move on. All right, making their Grade 1 debut in an absolute deluge. I mean, it was monsoon-type weather when Ravara took to the line. It was ridiculous. If anything, the band were already in final tuning, and then the heavens opened, and the band then ran for cover. You know, they just ran to the nearest gazebo, and everyone was standing with the pipes under their capes. I mean, it was bouncing off the grass. It was serious. So much so that the crowd that were standing at the arena practically all left, apart from me and a few other hardcore people that didn't really want to leave. We wanted to see Ravara. So we stood there getting absolutely soaked. Meanwhile, Ravara were looking out at us under the tents going, "What are you doing, you nutcases?" Anyway, so Ravara waited until it passed, kinda. Well, at least eased off a little bit, and they tuned up and straight into the circle, and man, did they ever thump out a tune. It was brilliant to see Ravara in that circle and playing a medley that we all know and love at this point. Yeah, the Plaque of Bells canon is pretty much a crowd favourite at this point, and yeah, they thumped it out in that Grade 1 ring. Now, they were the only Grade 1 band there on the day, so it was more of a showcase rather than a competition, but it was great to see the band stretching their legs for the first time in that Grade 1 circle, and yeah, the band sounded great. Now, as to where they're going to shake down whenever it comes to competing against their peers, don't know. We're going to have to wait for that dynamic to happen, I guess. So, yeah, we'll wait and see. But either way, very exciting to see Ravara in the circle. Well done to everyone there at Camp Ravara for making your Grade 1 debut. Well done. And I am more than excited to see more great music from this band in the coming weeks and months. Brilliant stuff. Now, if you aren't aware of what that sounded like or anything that I was just talking about, again, I have to tell you, every performance from that competition circle, including our adult drum majors, is all on our YouTube channel right now. There's a full playlist there from the County Fermanagh Championships. You can go and watch it all in detail. And it's pretty good detail, all in full 4K, and the sound that we managed to capture is pretty good too, despite the rain. So, yeah, you can go and be your own armchair judge. Now, granted, whenever I publish the videos and I put them out there, I went again to watch them the next day, in the point of me taking notes for the show, because I was going to be talking about it, obviously. And, again, I just have to mention, I have to apologize for the folk who were around me talking. I couldn't do anything about it. I tried to do something about it, and then I fell out with that guy. But it is what it is, you know. We have to film videos on the punter's side of the barrier, all right? So, yeah, we're not given any sort of, like, real super special access or anything where we can get up close and personal with the bands away from the crowds. Nah, we have to shoot our videos in the crowd. And I don't know, are we going to have to bring signs or something and hold them up saying quiet please like they do at the golf like I mentioned earlier? I don't know. But anyway, it's there. You can watch those performances back. Apologies for all of the talking that was around me. Not much we could do. I done my best to cut it out in the mix whenever it came to publishing the videos, but yeah, I didn't want to, have that at the detriment of the band. So we done what we could. There you are. They're all up there now on the Big Rab Show's YouTube channel. Okay, a few weeks ago, good friend of the show, Eric Evenhouse, had composed a brand new tune that had remained nameless. And he contacted us here in the Big Rab Show, asking us if we can put a poll out there, or asking people to nominate their favourite pipe band as to who this tune should be called after. Well, a few weeks have passed since then, and, well, it's now on me to announce the winner. Well, the band who now will have quite an amazing 6/8 named after them is Down Academy. Yes, Down Academy from right here in Northern Ireland. We received a number of emails nominating the band for that honour. So there you go. Yes, well done, Down Academy. And shout out to Eric Evenhouse, by the way. It is a cracking good tune. And will now be titled Down Academy Pipe Band, or something to that flavour, I guess. It's up on Eric. He's the guy who's going to do it now. But just wanted to say congratulations to Down Academy Pipe Band, who now won that honour of having a tune named after them. Brilliant stuff. Okay, time for one last little news story before we get into this week's topic of the week. I promise. Yeah, for the longest time now, everyone has been really anxious and waiting for People's Ford, Boghall and Bathgate to finally release Cabernet. Now, we had it on Weekly Drone, I think last week or the week before, where someone was saying, I paid my money, now give me what I paid for, kind of thing, which was like really aggressive. But, hey, I did tell you at the time that patience was a virtue, and here we are now. People's Ford, Boghall and Bathgate have just placed an announcement on their socials, and I will read it verbatim. Yes, digital download update for crowdfunder supporters. Oh, yep. We're delighted to confirm that we'll be delivering the digital download of our Cabernet concert on Friday the 30th of May at 9 a.m. UK time. Whoa, that's exclusive for their crowdfunder supporters. So, if you did manage to support the band via their crowdfunding way at the beginning when they were putting this all together, well, yeah, you're going to get early access to this. Yes! Oh, and that's myself included. I can't wait for this. It goes on to say, supporters will receive a link to download the album from audio sharing service Bita. Now, I've never heard of this service before, but there you go. This allows up to 3 downloads and will expire after 7 days. So be aware of that. If you have been supporting the band on their crowdfunding ventures, keep an eye out for this link because it will expire. And this is your early access. Please ensure you have downloaded the album onto your primary device and made any relevant backups within that 7-day period. There you go. So they're thrilled to finally be able to deliver this perk and hope that they all enjoy the album. Stay tuned for further updates on other perks and how you can purchase the digital download when it is released for general sale. Dun, dun, dun. So we still don't really have a general release date, but here we have it. It's being released early to the crowdfunder folks. So, hey, that's exciting. So, if you have been supporting People's Forward, Bog Hall and Bathgate on their crowdfunder, there you are. That's good news for you, isn't it? On Friday, the 30th of May, 9 a.m. UK time, keep an eye on your email inbox. You're going to be sent a link to Caberfy. Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait. And you know rightly what's going to happen. I'm going to download my Caberfy album on Friday morning, and then that's all I'm going to listen to all weekend. And then you can rest assured I'm going to have to play it on Fuse this week, you know. So that's exactly what's going to happen. But yeah, as soon as we know more information about the general release, you know, maybe you haven't been supporting them in their crowdfunding efforts and are just waiting for it to be out there in general release. Well, as soon as we know more details on that, we'll certainly let you folks know where you can go and grab Caberfy. Now, yeah, I remember what the concert was like. And the music that was played at this was just insane. And I cannot wait to delve back into it again and be all nostalgic and remember that incredible show. And yeah, I'm looking forward to sharing with you guys on Fuse FM this incoming week, hopefully. Oh, fingers crossed. There you go. So shout out to People's Forward, Bog Hall and Bathgate, Caledonia Pipe Band. That is incredibly exciting. Also, I have to give a shout out to Shots. Speaking of Pre-Worlds concert, by the way. Yeah, Shots and Dykehead Caledonia have been promoting it on their own social media, saying that limited tickets are available. Now, I do believe these are down into double figures now, maybe even single figures at the point of me recording this. And yeah, we mentioned it last week that they were limited, and that remains to be the case. So I'm just giving you forewarning again. If you do want to go and see Shots at their Pre-Worlds concert, now is the time. Go and grab your tickets and avoid disappointment. Trust me. This is going to be a blistering show that you will not want to miss. Shots absolutely know how to throw a concert, and I'm very much looking forward to this. Solus is going to be a brilliant show, and yeah, grab tickets for it and avoid disappointment. All right, that's it. I'm going to wrap it up with the news and updates there at this point, because I am going to try and keep it brief this week, as I mentioned earlier. But yes, if there is anything glaringly obvious that we haven't mentioned here on this week's show, then please do email us in. bigrabshow@gmail.com. That address again, bigrabshow@gmail.com, and we'll do our best to catch up on next week's show. All right, well, with that all being said, exciting announcements and all of that aplenty, time for us to get into this week's topic of the week, I reckon. So, yeah, it's time for me to go and get myself a big cup of tea. It's time for the topic of the week. Kingdom Thistle Pipe Band Supplies. For all your pipe band and marching band needs. Supplying everything from uniforms and instruments to custom-designed bass drum heads. They offer it all. Not forgetting their exclusive Kingdom Gilly Brogues and George Boots, crafted by bands for bands. Kingdom Thistle provides expert product advice and an industry-leading drum refurbishment service to keep your equipment in top-class condition. Also, shipping worldwide. So, stop by their store in Fife or visit them online at kingdomthistle.com for all your pipe band and marching needs.
Hi, this is Anna Smart, and you're listening to The Big Rab Show.
Yes, indeed. Time for Topic of the Week, and the title of this week's episode kind of does give it away as to what we're going to be chatting about. Yeah, we're going to be chatting about a brand new music collection from the Cameronian Rifles Regiment. To be honest, I know very little about it, but I'm very keen to learn more. But I've got, three quite knowledgeable people on the subject. So, first of all, say hello to Dan Evans. Dan, how are you, mate? Are you well?
I'm in good form, Rab, yeah. Just back from a big long holiday and getting back to actual real life, real work.
Ah, see, and then you had to come on the pod and talk a lot of rubbish with us, yeah.
A pleasure as always.
Indeed. Well, also we have Connor Jardine joining us as well. Connor, how are you, man?
Hi, Rob. Yeah, doing good. Very, very honoured to be on to chat to you tonight.
The honour's all ours, indeed. And also we have Cameron joining us as well. Cameron, how are you, man?
Hi, all good, mate. All good. The exam's finished, so just getting sorted for the fight bands now.
Even better. I know that's all out the road, yeah. Good stuff. So, well, we are going to be talking about quite an interesting new title is going to be launched about the Cameronian Rifles, and it's a whole new music collection. So, can someone tell me then, how did this all start? Like, where did the idea come around for this new collection? Go on ahead, Connor.
Yep, I'll take that one. Yeah, so the idea was what was mine. I was doing a lot of family research, maybe just over a year or so ago.
Mhm.
My links to the regiment are quite strong. Two of my granddad's older brothers served in the regiment. Whilst doing that research, I came across an article that Dan had written, kind of referencing his own ties to the regiment, and
Yeah.
from that research into my family, I then drifted into researching the pipers of the regiment. I always find for us in piping, we know about the Scots Guards, the Gordons, the Argylls, but
Yeah.
I always find that if you say the word Cameronian to people, they always think of the rant, not the regiment. And
I was
yeah,
going
it
to
was just an
say,
element
yeah.
of piping that I was quite interested in exploring more about it. And
Hmm.
I just kept finding some really great players who have had a lot of influence on our piping today. And I thought, you know what, it would be great to carry on that work of the Argyll's book and publish the next title in the series and put together a book of tunes for the Cameronians, and it allows us to promote our region as well. So there's a lot of little tick boxes there that um, allows us to give back to the piping world in a sense. So yeah, that's where the idea stems from. I got in
Yeah.
touch with Dan about the book as I knew his background, and Cameron's as another of the prominent Lanarkshire players, so got in touch with him as well, and here we are now today.
I see. So, Cameron, what were you bringing to the table then? Just like part of the research and all of this, or what were you bringing to this?
Yeah, so Connor asked me to get involved with the research and stuff because obviously my links to Lanarkshire pipe bands and my dad's played in a few as well. So we also have a few tunes that we know from Lanarkshire pipers that might not be quite as well known as some of the other ones. So yeah, I've just been helping get together the tunes.
I see, yeah.
And I think just for me to add to that, myself and Dan are both from Airdrie, which is in North Lanarkshire. Cameron, unfortunately, is from the wrong side of the M8 motorway. So we wanted
we'll
to
not hold
have
that against you though, Cameron. Yeah.
we wanted a bit of a South Lanarkshire influence as well, so that they're not left out.
I see. So this is, as well as capturing tunes from that regiment, it's very much of its place then. Well, we're right in saying that, Dan, yeah.
I think what's funny about it is, although I think one of the reasons that Connor got me involved was not just the link, but because I had previously worked on publishing a book,
Yeah.
I at least kind of knew what that looks like to put that sort of effort together.
Yeah.
And I very often think I'm probably the laziest member of the trio. I think the genesis originally was we take the format of your Scots Guards, your Argylls, your Gordon's collection, but it's grown arms and legs in that the Cameronians links, so the Cameronians / Scottish Rifles, so the 1st Battalion's the Cameronians, 2nd Battalion's the Scottish Rifles. My connection is to the Scottish Rifles through my father's grandfather. Right. But once you get beyond the wars, you get these guys returning home, being demobbed, and going into Lanarkshire pipe bands. Whether it's north or south, doesn't really matter. It matters that they are involved. And what's happened is we've now found ourselves with this treasure trove of literally hundreds of tunes that are a real love letter to the hills and dales, to the Clyde Valley, to the hills around Airdrie, all those sort of things. And the connections we've found are absolutely staggering.
I see, yeah. So has there been any like real standout stories that you've discovered as part of these tunes? You know, the tune's one thing, but it's the story that's connected with it can be another thing. Connor, has there been any standout for you?
Yeah, for sure. I've very much been researching into like the Gallipoli campaign, and you know, like you can see from some of these papers, a lot of their experiences were shaped by that campaign. So, 2 battalions of the regiment, the 7th and 8th, both went, and both of them lost their entire pipe band pretty much in just one day. And for those that did make it back, their tunes often relate to that. And you know, I think we're quite lucky in some regards. I think of, you know, the great composer Peter R. MacLeod. He was transferred out of the first line battalion just before it. So had he gone to Gallipoli, we probably wouldn't have all these great tunes that we now do have today.
That would have been a huge loss for sure. Yeah. So has there been any tunes or stories for yourself, Cameron, that you've discovered in your own research?
Well, when Connor first invited me, I think one of Connor's kind of inspirations was the Jimmy Haw collection. He's not very well known, but he's written tunes like Castle Dangerous and stuff. So and Redondo Beach. So it's tunes like that kind of stuck out to me initially, and then we've kind of built on it for there.
There you are. So Dan, as you're saying, that you're starting to find some gold in amongst all of this, some unsung tunes that we might not have heard now for years. Yeah.
Oh, certainly. I think there's what maybe one thing you joke about quite a lot is when it comes to piping. I think when you think of really high level piping, you think of the Highlands, Inverness-shire, Aberdeenshire, and Argyll. But what's maybe not obvious is certainly from the Victorian era, the work was in the central belt of Scotland, and if you swung a hammer or a pickaxe, you probably found yourself living somewhere in Lanarkshire at some point. So when we start to make the connections, the people stories are really incredible. Like Peter. Well, the thing that's becoming more and more evident is the Cameronian's reach. So I teach for Hutchinson's Grammar School. We have an archivist, and we were celebrating what we call Founders' Day. So the school goes back to 1639, very long history, the employer historian, blah, blah. And I asked, there's been piping on and off at the school for at least since 1947. Can you tell me what the first recorded mention is? And the first recorded mention was in about 1889, 1890. Mm-hmm. But the first picture of the band is from 1913, and it's the Cameronians CCF. It's the Cadet Force Band. Led by a guy called Donald Blue. Right. And there's a 6'8" named Captain Donald Blue, or just Donald Blue is what you would be known as now. Yeah. But that's one of those tunes that's just in a collection somewhere, 6'8" March, Donald Blue, 2 parts, and now we can put a face to that name. And I suppose there's 1,000 tragic stories, and what's actually quite heartrending about the Cameronians is they were a rifle regiment. So they did things very late at night that a lot of things would not get written down because they were sent into places they probably shouldn't have been to do things that nobody wants to talk about. Yeah. So they were generally hard, and so of course they were military men, but they found themselves in a lot of kill or be killed situations. So Donald Blue, Captain Donald Blue, lasted 6 weeks on the Western Front. Before he was going to, but he was beloved at the school and in the Glasgow kind of what do you call it? Not just the cadet circles, but he was a member of the Highlanders Institute and things like that as well. Yeah. And so that's what I mean. There's the connections, and you start to see the branching of it. So the amount of cap badges with a big star on them that you can find in places around the city, out into Lanarkshire, is absolutely incredible.
It's the weirdest thing, and that's kind of my connection with the Cameronians, is that I played in the Quinton Memorial Pipe Band back here in Northern Ireland, and we used to wear their cap badge. It's the weirdest thing, and I never knew it until I met someone at the beer tent at the Worlds one year, and he's like, that's a Cameronians badge. I was like, what? And then he told me the whole story, and wow, I went down a rabbit hole then of research. So do you find that, Connor, yourself, that you find the emblem and the badges everywhere, yeah?
Yeah, one of the things I started looking at myself was like, where can we find faces of the Cameronians today? The regiment's coming up for its 60th year soon since it disbanded, but you still see it alive today. I noticed that Ballygowan Pipe Band in Northern Ireland still wear that cap badge.
They do too, yeah, that's right.
There's links in South Africa, Singapore, Nepal, Australia. Wow. You find it all over the place, and it's really subtle until you look into the detail.
That's it. I think the iconography, I think, is pretty global. Yeah, I've seen evidence of bands wearing it all over the place. Yeah. So, go ahead, Dan.
Yeah, it was funny with the cat. So I wear what would be my great-grandfather's cap badge. round the solos, and the amount of times when I first started wearing it, I would be referred to as the communist.
Oh, yeah, because of the star?
Yeah, here comes the communist on Third and the Pembroke, yeah. But I think now, I've just worn it for so long that folk don't recognise it. But there are other pipers who do wear it. The Mulherns, Ben, John and Brian Mulhern,
yes.
They all wear the Cameronians badge. Although Brian was in, I believe I want to say he was in like the Irish Guards at one point. His father fought in Borneo. So there's tremendous piping links there for such an unusual icon.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. So I have to talk about the collection itself then. Clearly there's going to be a bit of a book launch then where folk can get their hands on this. Or even at the minute then, Connor, where can people go and find more information on the book, but even before it's launched?
Yeah, so we're planning on launching the book at Piping Live next year. In the meantime, I've been posting a lot of the research that we're doing on our Facebook page, so you can find the Facebook page. It's the Cameronians SR Pipe Music Collection. I think there's a lot of interesting things in there for people that would like to see how we're getting on, read more about some of the pipers. I'm trying to have the page almost be like a story of each piper that we come across. So
I see,
a bit of their
yeah,
exactly. So my goal is a couple of years' time people can look back and read about them all, basically. So for each of them, I've got a little bit of a biography about them and any photographs we can find and maybe any notable tunes they wrote.
There you go. Do you know what? I'm absolutely fascinated to learn a lot more. You know, it isn't just a cat badge for me now. There's stories here. Absolutely. And so I need to ask the obvious question. You know, everyone will see the title of the Cameronians. So can anyone tell me about the story of the rant then? The famous tune that everyone is aware of. What is the connection between the tune and the band and the regiment?
So I guess that the problem is the genus is a bit lost to time. The earliest version of it we found was in a late Victorian collection.
Right.
So, and it wasn't a Shrispé, it's a real.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah, so it pops up in the Pipe Major Ross collection. So that is our Willie Ross, but what we think of as Willie Ross London, Queen's Piper Willie Ross. So he was the guy that worked with Henry Stark to make what is now the nail bagpipe.
Yes.
Anyway. So that's it, but we can only infer then that was quite a well-known tune, because that's what that Willie Ross collection was. It was Pembroke, it was light music, but it was very much the vogue of the day.
Yeah.
So we're looking at probably something that might date back to the Napoleonic War. It could go back to the Crimeas. But it's interesting that at this point in time, you can find a version of the Cameronian rant in pretty much every time signature. And for a kind of flirting with G major piece of music, that's quite unusual for the bagpipe anyway.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I knew that question was going to be on everyone's mind listening right now, going, well, what is the connection with the tune? But there you are. It's one of those world famous ones by now, for sure. But, you know, I can't wait to find out more information on this and to see what tunes are going to be included within the covers. But I'll keep that for a conversation for another time. So, Connor, Dan, Cameron, thank you folks for joining us on the pod this week. And can you just give me that web address then, Connor, for where folk can go and check out the details of this?
Yeah, so the Facebook page is the Cameronians SR Pipe Music Collection. They can get in touch with us on Gmail at, I think it's Cameronians Collection at Gmail. That's on the Facebook page as well. We welcome anyone sending us maybe old tunes they've had lying in a book somewhere that might be relevant. I'm more than happy for people to get in touch with us for anything. I'm happy if people would like to send us old photographs. We'd be very grateful for that as well.
There you go, excellent. So you're still taking contributions and everything then, still adding things together then, yeah.
Not only are we taking contributions, we even try to write more music. But
Right.
anything that's Cameronians related, or even if you played in a pipe band with an old Cam who had some sort of reference material, please get in contact. Like we say, it's a love letter to piping from Lanarkshire. It's to memorialise a regiment's importance in our piping culture. So anything, even if it's 2 lines where you're like, I once knew this guy and he said he was here at this time, that's the kind of data that we need to put all the connections together.
Yeah, that's brilliant. So no contribution too small. Absolutely. Yeah, they are. So, folks, thanks for joining us on the show. We're definitely going to keep across the development of this. This thing's quite an interesting collection for sure. Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us. Thanks, lads. All the best.
And there you have it. So for more information about this upcoming publication, then you can go and check your show notes right now. There's links right there to everything that, well, already exists out there. But, yeah, as you just heard, they're still taking contributions. So if you do have any old stories or, yeah, as Connor said there, about any old photos especially, are well received. So, yeah, if you have anything like that kicking around in your attic, I guess, then send them in to them. Yeah. Links and all of that are in the show notes now. You can go and check all of that out for more detail. So, I have to give a shout out this week to Dan, Connor, and to Cameron for joining us here on the show and telling us all about this. And of course, we will be keeping across this as it develops. And, yeah, as to when you can get your mitts on it. So, by the sounds of things, won't be for a while. But, yeah, we'll certainly keep you across the details. There you are. So, yeah, quite an interesting topic of the week. Yeah, and an exciting brand new music collection with a lot of history attached. Yeah, exciting stuff. So, that's it for another Big Rab Show pod, unfortunately. As always, once we've wrapped up the topic of the week, there's not much else to talk about. So, thank you all for downloading this week and each and every week. And don't forget to tell your mates about our wee show, about what we're doing over here, talking about the music of the great Highland bagpipe and its people. And, yeah, right now, I'm about to lift these pipes that are sitting in the corner laughing at me. And, yeah, I'm going to start doing a few introductions and a few cut-offs and all the rest. And, yeah, practice to do. Practice to do. It never ends. It never ends. All right, folks, that's me. I'm out the door. Hey, before I go, why don't you lift the sticks or the pipes yourself and have a wee tune? Hey? How long has it been since you've had a practice? All right, there you go. I'm out the door. I'll see you all in the next one. Until next week, all the best. Well, that's it for another Big Rab Show podcast. Thanks so much for downloading this week. And a special thank you to our sponsor, G1 Reeds. Played by bands around the world, they are the champion's choice. Check out g1reeds.com for all of your piping needs. Don't forget to check out thebigrabshow.com to be kept up to date with all of the latest news and views from around the piping world. And also, check us out on Patreon. For $5 a month, you can get your hands on tons of extra piping goodness and be a part of the Patreon faithful. So, until next week, folks, we'll see you right here on the Big Rab Show Podcast. All the best.